How much does it cost to live like a billionaire for a day? First, you have to start with a billionaire. The cheapest billionaire I could find was this guy, and he's only $1.2 billion, so we can afford him. So that's great. But then he has these costs. He has a private jet, which costs $30,000 an hour just to rent, and then he has a helicopter, which costs $6,000 an hour. And then he has a yacht, which costs $4,000 an hour. And then he has a $150,000 apartment in New York City. So let's just assume that we're going to stay there for the day. That's like $300,000 just to stay there for the day. And then he has two cars. One is a $420,000 Maybach, which is like the fanciest car you can get. And then he also has a $22,000 Lamborghini. So we're going to drive both of those around for the day. So that's another $50,000. And then he has a personal chef who cooks all of his meals for him, and it costs $75,000 a day just for the chef alone. So we can afford all of that. We can pay for all of his stuff. We can afford the helicopter, the jet, the car, the chef, the apartment. It's only costing us $431,000 to live like this billionaire for a day, but then we have to actually go to one of his favorite restaurants. It's called Gilgamesh, and it costs $6,000 per serving. So we have to order the largest serving, which is $18,000, and then we have to buy some wine, which costs $5,000. So that's another $23,000. He also likes to go to this club called Lavo, and bottle service there costs $1,000 per person. So let's say we're going to go with 4 people. That's another $4,000. Then we have to go shopping at Barney's because that's what billionaires do. And let's say we're going to spend $10,000 on some clothes. And then we have to go to the spa because billionaires go to the spa every day. It costs $1,000 for a facial and $500 for a massage, so that's another $1,500, and then we have to take a black car service everywhere because billionaires don't like to drive themselves. It costs $350 per hour just to rent a black car, so that's another $7,000. So if you add all of that up, it actually costs $507,000 to live like a billionaire for a day. And that's not even that much money. Like if you compare it to like a normal person's life, it's so much more expensive. Like a normal person spends like $100,000 a day, but a billionaire spends $500,000 a day. If you want to see what $100,000 looks like, here's what $100,000 looks like. That's how much it costs to live like a normal person for a day. So yeah, being a billionaire is actually really expensive, but if you want to be a millionaire, it's actually not that expensive. Here's how much it costs to live like a millionaire for a day. This is a modern millionaire, and he lives in a $20 million house, but we can rent it for only $30,000 a day, and then we have to pay for his yacht, which costs $2,000 an hour, and then we have to pay for his boat, which costs $1,000 an hour, and then we have to pay for his Ferrari, which costs $350 an hour, and then we have to pay for his 2 chefs. One costs $150,000 a year, and the other one costs $75,000 a year. So we're just going to split that cost, and that's $11,000. So if you add all of that up, it only costs $47,000 to live like a modern millionaire for a day, and that's actually not that bad. Like, I could totally afford that. You could probably afford that too. It's not that expensive. But then you have to go to his favorite restaurant, and it costs $2,500 per serving. So that's another $10,000. So if you want to live like a millionaire, it costs $57,000. But if you want to live like a billionaire, it costs $500,000. But you know what? Being a billionaire is definitely worth it.